Nassim Nicholas Taleb, The Black Swan, The Impact of the Highly Improbable, 2nd edition, with a new section, on robustness and fragility. Buckle up as we take you through a journey of exploring the unpredictable and the risks lurking within our supposedly certain world, as outlined by Nassim Nicholas Taleb's groundbreaking book, The Black Swan. This summary delves into our human tendency to create simplified narratives to make sense of a complex world, and demonstrates how such an approach gives rise to unpredictable surprises or black swans. Touching upon our cognitive biases, the difference between scalable and non-scalable information, and the limitations of our knowledge, we'll see how embracing our ignorance can be the key to reducing risk and making better decisions.
The danger of dogmatic thinking. Human beings are skilled at turning stimuli into information but too often fall into dogmatic thinking. This kind of thinking can cause us to miss crucial information and result in significant surprises, or black swans, that challenge our worldview. The author emphasizes the importance of remaining open-minded and adapting to new information instead of clinging to outdated beliefs. The power of information in the face of black swans. Black swans, unexpected events with far-reaching consequences, can be highly impactful depending on one's access to relevant information. Those with more information are less likely to be affected, while the ignorant are at higher risk. The concept is illustrated through a horse race scenario, where someone bets everything on a perceived safe bet, only to lose everything when the horse unexpectedly refuses to run. However, the horse owner had additional information about the horse's protest against animal cruelty and bet against it, profiting from the black swan event. Black swans can also affect society as a whole, demonstrated by Copernicus's discovery that challenged the authority of the Catholic Church and Bible. The takeaway is that having access to information is crucial to mitigate the risk of black swans. The fallacies of predictive narratives. Humans tend to rely on past events to predict the future, but this can lead to dangerous fallacies. For instance, confirmation bias can hinder us from accepting or investigating information that contradicts our beliefs. These fallacies are deeply ingrained in human nature, making them difficult to avoid. The narrative fallacy. Our brains create linear narratives to make sense of the massive amount of information we encounter every day. This is due to the ways our brains have evolved to categorize information. However, this method is inadequate for understanding complex modern environments. The narrative fallacy is the process of turning unconnected bits of information into a meaningful narrative. While this may help us find meaning in our lives, it is not an effective way to understand the world. This is because tiny, insignificant events can have unpredictable, major consequences. To gain meaningful understanding of the world, we must catalog each stage of cause and effect, rather than relying on narratives. The importance of scalable and non-scalable information in understanding the world. Humans have a limited ability to distinguish between different types of information, particularly scalable and non-scalable information. Non-scalable information has defined limits, making it possible to make accurate predictions about averages. Scalable information, on the other hand, has no physical limitations, such as wealth or album sales. Trying to apply rules effective for non-scalable information to scalable data leads to mistakes. For instance, measuring the wealth of a population by working out their per capita wealth is misleading as wealth is scalable. Overall, understanding the difference between scalable and non-scalable information is fundamental for obtaining an accurate picture of the world. Risk assessment and the Ludic fallacy. We all assess risks to keep ourselves safe, but are we doing it right? This summary explores the Ludic fallacy, which suggests that we tend to handle risk as a game with set rules and probabilities. This approach poses a great danger to us as we cannot accurately calculate every risk. Casinos serve as an example that underlines the flaw in our risk assessment approach. Unfortunately, we overconfidently believe that we know all the possible risks that we need to protect ourselves against. It is better to be aware of our ignorance about possible risks than remain unaware of it. The power of acknowledging limits. The belief that knowledge is power is misleading. When we focus only on what we know, we limit our perception, and create room for uncertain catastrophes. To illustrate this point, the author uses an example of a person investing their life savings in the stock market, solely because of prior market conditions they are familiar with. They suffer a heavy loss when the market crashes. The author emphasizes that understanding what we don't know reduces the likelihood of such events occurring. Experienced poker players comprehend this concept deeply, as they are aware of the information they lack, such as their opponent's approach to the game and their risk tolerance levels. This comprehension allows them to construct a strategy that takes into consideration a broader spectrum of factors, rather than only their own cards. By acknowledging limits, people can make more informed assessments of risks. Mitigating bad decision-making. To reduce bad decision-making, it's essential to understand the tools we use to make predictions and their limitations. Though we can't avoid every cognitive trap, knowing our limitations can help us recognize when we're subject to cognitive bias. Humans tend to organize everything into neat, causal narratives, which overlooks the complexity of the world. However, this self-awareness allows us to gain a competitive advantage in our field by identifying our shortcomings. If we know that unforeseeable risks are inherent in any opportunity, we'll be less inclined to invest heavily in it. While we cannot triumph over randomness or our limited capacity to understand the vast world's complexity, we can mitigate the damage inflicted by our ignorance.
In conclusion, the Black Swan serves as a powerful reminder of our limitations as human beings while also reminding us of the vast opportunities of embracing uncertainty. It reveals how our cognitive biases and simplified narratives can result in unforeseen outcomes or black swans, and highlights the importance of understanding our own ignorance in differentiating between non-scalable and scalable information. While we may not fully overcome these biases or predict every risk, a critical self-analysis to know our shortcomings and making informed decisions based on a holistic picture will allow us to mitigate potential damage and better navigate the world of unpredictable surprises.